So I met an earth angel. Hi, I'm Jason. This is Grounded Roots Healing. I just went through I guess you call it a tower moment or a dark night of the soul. It was pretty intense. But it's a long story. Hang in there. So a few days ago, I got the call that I had to go back to work. And finances are getting tight. Anytime you take time off in the line of work I'm in, there's no money. It just stops. So you have to keep working if you want to keep the lights on. So I got the call, and at the time I regrettably didn't want to go. I still didn't really want to go, if I'm being honest. But you do what you have to do. And I'm trying to keep a positive mindset. And after I got the call, I had a moment where I was at home alone. And I got suspiciously tired and decided to lay down for a minute. And I didn't fall asleep, but I kind of meditated. And I had this, it's a transcendental experience. It's like a shamanic journey, essentially, spontaneously. I had something on in my earphones, listening, kind of in the background, and something on that the recording I was listening to said, "Can't you see them? Can't you see them? They're cheering for you." And I looked up, which was inside, and my eyes were closed, and there was thousands of people. My ancestors, spirit guides. Couldn't really make out the faces, but I was on a stage, and they were all clapping, cheering me on. So I took that as a win, obviously. Doing something right. My ancestors are happy with me. And as soon as that happened, that night I went to bed and I had a dream. And in the dream, we were being chased, and there was a group of men of all varying ages. And we were being chased by people with weapons, being forced to do things we didn't want to do. Like, I didn't have an idea of what those things were, but they were forced to work for them, or some people were being beaten and all kinds of things. And for some reason, we made it to this house, and we were safe. And for whatever reason, these men at varying ages were 333 on the timer, were looking to me for answers. And they all spontaneously started waking up, realizing that this group that was forcing them to do things was the Matrix. And they were like little kids. It didn't matter. There was 80-year-old men, there was 15-year-old boys. And they were all looking to me for answers and reaching to me for hugs and support. And I didn't remember the dream when I woke up, and about an hour after, it became the clearest memory I've ever had. I understood it. And what it is there's a huge wave of primarily masculines that are joining the party of this awakening journey. So, and they need people to look to. I hope to be able to be someone who can support masculines, 444 on the timer. But it was an interesting dream, let's say. And it wasn't a dream, because when I've had dreams like that, they're the prophetic visions, essentially. and they need to be interpreted. And then usually all you have to do is just think about it for a minute, and then the message becomes very clear. So there is a wave imminent of primarily masculines. The divine feminines, a major wave of them happened about 2 years ago, during my wave. Those feminines woke up, and they were leading the way. And the masculines need support. There's going to be, congratulations, your masculines are arriving. And we're not talking about the toxic masculine variety that currently exists. This is divine counterparts. They're waking up, and they will need a lot of help from the first wave, the wave of feminines that awoke earlier. So there was that message. And then I got on a plane, which, it's never easy. It's never easy for us, empaths, to be in people's energy like that and in that situation. And of course, that's how it's designed. So I was doing what I always do and jamming earphones in my ears and listening to music and avoiding people and getting on the plane at the last minute to give myself the least amount of time crammed in there. And on the last flight of the night, I'm going to get on the plane, and this guy comes in behind me, and he's asking questions about he doesn't fly much, obviously, it's clear. He's talking to the stewardess and asks questions, where's the seat, and this kind of thing. And he's right behind me. And I go to get into my seat, which is a window seat, and then there's an empty seat, and then a woman sitting on the outside. And of course he's sitting right next to me. And when I turn around, he's like 6'2". He's 25 years old. He's got tattoos on his neck. He's clearly muscular, rough and tumble looking individual. And I'm like, here we go. So this is going to be a miserable flight. He's going to take up a lot of space. So I'm stuck against the window. But I don't get a bad sense off of him at all. And, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, right? So I sat in the flight. It was only about a 45-minute flight. And I immediately put my earphones in and I leaned into the window, just avoiding this has been a long day at this point, avoiding any contact at all, any conversation. And a couple times during the flight, he was looking out the window while I was looking, and he smiled at me. But, he was elbowing me and taking up more space. And eventually I was like getting elbowed constantly, and there was nowhere for me to go. I just thought about saying something, and then I just didn't want to deal with it. And as I was walking out off the plane, we landed. I talked to him for a bit. After we landed, he was extremely nice. And the energy off of him was good. It wasn't bad at all. Then I had felt bad. I wasted that flight. I could have had a good conversation with him. So we ended up talking. I learned his story. And as we're walking out of the plane, I'm behind him now. And I can see on the back of his neck, he's got an angel tattooed, whispering into one ear and the devil whispering into the other. And it struck me, like he had reached back and he was rubbing his neck, and it drew my attention, and I noticed him. I was like, wow. So then he's leaving the airport. He doesn't know how to collect his bags. He doesn't know where to go. So he's like, can you help me find my bags? Like where I'm supposed to go? And I said, sure, let's go. We talked and talked. Just a super nice guy. I was like, what is this? I felt even worse then, that I judged the book by its cover. So anyway, we got our bags, said her, nice to meet you. Hope you have a good rest of your trip. And I left. So I started making my way towards my work location. It's like 6 hours away. And I have, by chance, uh, an extra day. And I'm sitting here. So I get to this town, and it's primarily oil field workers. So all the hotels are pretty cheap. And you hear that? Like that. Guys with big trucks, jacked up. They're obnoxiously loud, parking outside your window. And, pretty rough and tumble people. A lot like what I had judged that guy for. So I pulled up to this hotel, and I said to find something that's cheap, reasonably cheap. I'm trying to save money. And I came to this place for no reason. I just felt like the one to go to. My intuition was saying, come here. And when I went in, there was this wonderful Filipino woman I was talking to at the desk. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll stay here. It seems like, she's got good energy. And when she was ringing me in, she said, I got a king-size bed. It's nothing special, but you want a suite? I was like, well, how much more is that? She said, oh, it's $10. $10 for an extra, and it's got a giant jacuzzi in it. Now, normally, in a place like this, a lower budget hotel in a part of the country where oil field workers frequent, I would not even think about getting in a jacuzzi, but I had to. We've been, and by some miracle, this one looks extremely clean and well taken care of. So I decided I was going to use it. We don't have a bathtub at home. I haven't had a bath in I don't even know how long. And it really does help me. I think it would help everybody. So I get in the bath, and I decided I was going to do a meditation, and I checked on my phone, and there was a brand new one by Activations by JJ, which I'll try to link below. It's about Lemurian activation. And when I put it on, I just had this wave of energy, and it wasn't good. It was low vibrational energy. It was welling up. It had to come out. I started crying, and I couldn't even figure out why. And I'm still sorting this out in my head. But that guy on the plane popped into my mind, and how I had judged him, and how, frankly, afraid of him I was. And that he never cursed once. He didn't fit any of the stereotypes that you would look at the outside of him and think he was. And then it hit me. He was an angel. He was sent here on that mission in order to show me where my blockage was. And then it also hit me that he looked an awful lot like someone in my life who had been extremely hard on me. I don't know if that's not the appropriate way to say it. So when I was a little kid, an older boy tried to unalive me. And it was in my family. And I was told that if I ever let anyone know what had happened, that I wouldn't be around. So from, I think I was 3 or 4, from that age on, I was terrified of men like that. And it occurred to me that I was still extremely defensive around men who looked like that, who had that stereotype. And I still didn't feel safe. I still had my guards up, clearly. So much so that I couldn't even feel the energy off that guy. He was obviously an earth angel. And the package that they come in, you'd never guess it. That's the point. The lesson was to show me where I was still holding on to fear. And I'm in a place where you're just surrounded by people like that. And I've, for the most part, isolated myself completely against it and not interacted with them because frankly were a lot of bullies. But also, I'm safe. I'm not that little boy anymore. I can take care of myself. I have nothing to worry about. I don't have to live like that in fear anymore. And I just let it go. And then I got tired. And it explains a lot. It explains why I don't sleep very well. It explains why I don't communicate with people like that well. I don't have a lot of masculine friends, male friends. I just couldn't. I couldn't form those kinds of relationships because I was just afraid. I was still afraid. I was afraid for my life. And then I had this overwhelming sense of shame. I was so disappointed that I had judged that man for his appearance. I've had a lot of interactions with earth angels in my life. They're often come as homeless people. And they stick in my memory. There was one gentleman when I first started my career in Calgary. It's a big city. And I would see him every day and I would talk to him. And there was something about him that I just trusted. And I gave him some money, but I often had conversations with him. And then when I moved back to Nova Scotia, there was this interaction with a homeless guy who was hitchhiking across Canada and wanted to go to Newfoundland or something. And I picked him up and gave him a drive. And when I dropped him off in the town where I lived, he went to the church to see if he could get any assistance from the church or food or something, and they turned him away. And then I drove him back to the local grocery store, gave him $20 and sent him on his way. And that was the same guy. I only realize it now. It was the same freaking guy. He's an earth angel. And a lot of the times when I would run into these people, I would pass that test. But I certainly didn't on that airplane. I see it now. And I see the message. And I'm grateful to God that He saw it fit. Now is the time to let this go. To take this off my shoulders, this fear. And I feel lighter today. So, tower moment, I'm still kind of in shock and I have to get some sleep because I have to work tomorrow. But there's a wave of masculines coming. And for some reason, I feel like I'm supposed to be someone who can help them through this scary process. And if I can't trust men in general, how am I going to be that person for them? So we heal, we grow, we ascend, we move forward. That was cool. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. Like I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you soon.